The station other radio stations think they really are. We are Boom Radio.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is your Boom Radio Engines Boombar. My name is Sola Rogers, and we're reaching you from Lagos, Nigeria. Sunny or wet, depending on what part of Lagos you're in at the moment.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Boombar right here, and my name is Dolupo. You know, the one and only. And this very interesting afternoon, there are a few things that we're going to be talking about. There are a few updates from number one, from MohBad's issue. Also, the EFCC has finally, I was going to say released, not released, produced. They finally produced the former CBN governor, Emefiele, in court. I don't know why they do those things though, but I'm sure they have their reasons. Also, there are updates from... there's a lot of issues happening in Imo State as we speak from Labour, which I feel that we actually need to discuss what's Labour's plan, though, to their nationwide strike announcement, to the elections that's happening on Saturday. It is actually going to be happening on Saturday, and a few stories from the federal government once, and then a few other things, you know, as time goes on. So yes, we're going to be talking about how these things work. So right now, let's get right into it. And for a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people have been asking and wondering, like, what exactly is happening with this MohBad's issue. I think that for proper investigation and all that, things are definitely not going to be as fast as people want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
It might also not be as the way you want it to be.
That is the most important part that we've been pointing out from the get, that, you know, the court of public opinion has already tried this case even before people were arrested. And it might not just be the way you see it, because it's about the facts, not about sentiment. And what are the facts? It's about investigation. And that's where we are now.
So, according to... So, now there's a coroner's inquest that is going on at the moment. How... And the wife was trying to explain the events that happened that day that led to his death. So, according to her, which now I think that it's time to recall the statement of the hospital that a lot of people had already gone off on. It is official now, according to her, that he had died before they got to the hospital.
Yeah.
According to her, said that he wasn't feeling so well, and then he was moved to one room and to another, from one room to another, and she was in the kitchen while all this was happening, adding that she came out and then she saw the nurse injecting him, and she heard MohBad telling the nurse to remove the syringe. She then told the coroner that it was at that point they had to rush him to the hospital, that the driver of the car then now said that his hands were already cold. And meaning that the person was already dead before they got to the hospital, and then they got to the hospital and then it was confirmed. So number one, what I was going to say is that let's recall the story of the hospital, the statement that they had released that he was already brought in dead.
Before you take the hospital's official statement and their angle, let us speak to people who are always chasing clout on social media. A certain young man made a video claiming that he was at the hospital when MohBad walked in. He said MohBad walked in with his friends.
Oh,
that
yeah.
he
Oh,
took
yeah.
a
He
picture
took pictures with him.
And we've been asking, where are the pictures that you took with MohBad on this fateful day? Where exactly are these pictures? Why would you do this?
Which caused a lot of rancor.
It caused a lot of confusion.
It caused a lot of confusion, yes. I remember that conversation. I remember very, very, very well how a nurse... And I remember very well for people that watch very well. And I remember I said that it doesn't add up. The story does not add up. And my number one reason was that who are you that a nurse that you just came in, you would ask them questions. And it is completely unprofessional to be divulging events of another patient to you. As what?
Because it was the nurse that you spoke to earlier. So you went to her and you said, oh, what's wrong with him?
And then she suddenly...
And the people were running helter-skelter.
Seriously?
Let's take it further back. I'm sorry, but we need to really speak to people's heads now. Let's speak to your brain and let's get you guys to stop these sentimental things that you do. The news broke that MohBad had died.
I don't know how you used to lie those kind of
And the
lies.
first thing that they started peddling was that he had an ear infection.
Oh, yeah, there was a story of the ear infection. Which also did not make any sense. I remember very, very well that night and the conversation. I remember we're having this conversation. And I was like that people just don't drop dead from an ear infection. You cannot have an ear infection that is already deadly and you were performing on Sunday. If you have a toothache that will take you to the hospital, I can promise you 2 days before you are not well. So how do those things take a progression, yeah? So it doesn't make sense. I like the angle that, like, there were so many stories here and there. Now, with what she said, it is safe to say that maybe there's an angle that we want to attach to it, maybe that nobody has heard yet. But it's safe to say that neither Sam Larry or Naira Marley were at the
point.
They were the points at
where he got ill,
yeah,
and all of that.
It wasn't. Another angle to it is the fact that, yeah, there are a few videos, 1 or 2 videos where puts Sam Larry in the same place with him. There has not been one video that has put Naira Marley, the one person that has been crucified.
Yeah.
Not one video has been put with him and MohBad getting assaulted and something. Well, what I said, like I said, there's still investigations going on. We don't know what can come up. But directly, there's nothing that is attaching these 2 people to his death at the moment.
The only remote connection that might be possible, is if the nurse claims that what she did was deliberate and she was paid to do it or instigated to do it or forced to do it.
Now, talking about this nurse, the statement of MohBad's wife, I think it has a bit of loopholes. Mm-hmm. Why I said so is that if we go from the angle of the nurse and with what was recorded from what she said, you and your husband live in a house.
Same house.
Same house. You are in the kitchen. Your husband is not ill. Let's say for some reason you needed to get to the kitchen. How did the nurse get to your house?
She magically appeared.
Keep in mind, your husband is not well, so he probably wasn't the one that called the nurse.
Exactly.
Who called the nurse? How did the nurse get into your house? You say you just heard the noise and MohBad saying that she removed the injection. She got into your house, got access to him, to the extent of her injecting him. Mm-hmm. Come on.
And okay, so let's look at the loopholes. A lot of artists don't stay alone, even if they are married. They always have hangers-ons and all sorts of people with them. So it's possible that one of his guys called the nurse.
Yeah, so that there needs to be an explanation for that, but nobody's saying anything about it.
The wife, might not.
That's why I said that there is a loophole somewhere that needs to be answered.
You know, so she might not be the one that called the nurse, but it's hard to wrap one's head around it that, okay, you didn't call the nurse, but the nurse gained access into the house to treat the husband you love so much, the father of your child, and you were not really there. So, because she's trying to say that, oh, I wasn't there whenever what happened. But I heard the noise in the same house that you live in. That won't get one kind of comma.
You get
there's
it's,
a comma
it's
there.
it's a
Of course, we've heard from different videos and stuff that, oh, someone said it was one of the guys that called the nurse and all of that. But again, let's speak to this thing. What kind of mentality do you have that you're ill and you're calling nurses? It turns out now that even the nursing council says this lady is not a nurse.
She's a nurse. So, do we talk about?
Is it illiteracy?
I was going to say that to that. Do we say it is illiteracy that would make you go ahead and call you claim that this person is ill, and the next thing is calling whatever nurse or whatever.
All these guys are fully paid up. Like, there's money.
Are you saying that
money day?
You couldn't take him to the hospital at that point where you realized that he was not getting, it wasn't okay? Like, and the truth is that you probably don't even have as much money as these people, but something is wrong with you, and you feel the need to go to a hospital to get checked out. So at what point did you think it was okay to get some nurse, which now we know is not even a nurse? Because the truth of the matter is that now, if you really look back, a proper nurse most of the time will not treat you in those kind of conditions. They wouldn't. So all you people, it also calls out to all you people that are calling auxiliary nurse. You be hearing mommy nurse down the road. They're not nurses. They are not nurses. And it is a thing with Nigeria. Yes, you can say it's illiteracy. The truth is that, some will attribute it to poverty, but you also see some very well-to-do people patronize these people as well.
Yeah, case in point, a former gubernatorial candidate of a state somewhere in Nigeria that was said to have been injected also by a certain nurse. Do you understand? These people do these things. And I think we need to stop it. Yes, you want to get treated, and if maybe you're so rich or you're too busy, you should have a doctor on your
on
a retainership or something, because they are properly trained, and proper nurses who are real nurses, they would at least know the process of carrying out a test before determining what exactly is, not someone who just acts like some dibia or babalawo or so and says, you know what, I'm going to give you this injection and you're going to be fine. We need to stop playing around with our lives in this manner.
I'm telling you, it's literally play with your life.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's even better that you don't take any drug at all than to have someone who doesn't know your history, does not know your medical condition, if you had underlying conditions and all of that.
Yeah.
But just comes and starts to stab away at you with some syringe here and there.
People are very quick to be giving you drugs.
We need to stop this thing.
Anyway, we'll be coming up with more updates
as the inquest carries on. The MohBad inquest continues
as it goes. Okay, so as we started, there was news that the EFCC finally produced the former CBN governor. I wanted to say the suspended, but I remember that he's actually officially resigned. So it's the former CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, to court. There's been a lot of back and forth around him. We know that it was DSS that released him without charging him to court. Oh no, there's a DSS case now. They have it.
Oh, there's something pending.
Yeah. Then they released him. Then the EFCC picked him up, and there's been a lot of back and forth between the courts and the EFCC, saying that the EFCC has refused to bring him to court, and finally, the EFCC brought him to court today. Now, this was as far back as yesterday. It was supposed to be in court yesterday. The EFCC did not bring him to court. Now, the current news is that he has now been granted bail by the court. There are more updates. Hopefully, the updates will come up as we are is ongoing. They have granted him bail. But my first question goes back to number one, we don't know the bail conditions yet. Number two, we don't know who else is going to rearrest him now. At this point,
the police should do something.
remember this second bill. Remember the court had granted him bail with the DSS, and they did not, and they rearrested him. So we don't know who that is going to rearrest or not rearrest him at the moment. I think a lot of Nigerians might not even be happy with the fact that he was granted bail. But my question is,
a lot of Nigerians are not happy. Sir, I'm one of them. Proudly.
I remember that one of the things that the current Attorney General of the Federation, speaking of which, I'm not sure I've heard from that man in any way. Not like his ministry is not something that, do you understand, that makes a lot. But I think that to me, let me use myself as an example. We heard a lot from the former Attorney General of the Federation. I think that's why I'm like, okay, this man seems like a very quiet person.
Yeah, as it should be, low key.
I remember that one of the things that he had talked about when he was getting screened at the Senate was that the Ministry of Justice would follow the rule of law to the letter. I remember that statement very, very well. Now, two different security agencies. First, it was the courts and the DSS. Remember the drama that even happened with the the prisons and DSS over this man. Now, I think this is the third time before the EFCC finally brought him to court. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have investigations to conduct, but what are we trying to do if we tell the courts every single time? If the courts brings out these proclamations and these agencies do not follow them, what's the point then?
Okay, in the case of Emefiele, I don't know why I'm about to make a distinction between this case and other cases. And of course, it's contrary to what I've been propagating in recent times. And I'm going to first establish what I am propagating by way of asking that law enforcement agencies should please conduct their interviews, make their cases watertight, then get a judge to approve their actions before going to arrest people. Because that way, nobody can go to another judge to say, this is
exactly
a cause for bail. They say, no. There is a reason to hold this person for 30 days or whatever number of days that is approved by law and by the.
So, according to the court now, the judge had ordered his immediate release to his lawyers. And they're saying that they're the ones that are charged with the responsibility of producing him in court for his arraignment. There are no other conditions. The only other condition is that he must deposit his travel documents with the chief registrar of the court.
Releasing.
Also, they're saying that the judge, that they must also put an end to his detention without trial. That he's been in detention for 151 days. And the federal government and Attorney General of the Federation must abide by court order.
Yeah, so again, back to what I was saying, and I'm glad that you brought up what the court has said. So as it stands now, Emefiele should be walking home or driving home or cruising home, as the case may be.
If he's not rearrested.
You know, should be. That's why I said should, because anything can happen. It should be. But this is it. If they had done some kind of, investigation and they had proof of certain crimes that he might have committed or allegedly committed, then this wouldn't be happening and shouldn't be happening.
But also remember that there was also the conversation of arresting.
It was a flight risk.
Yeah.
It was on his way out of the country.
Yeah, I remember
when he was arrested. And that's why I wanted to cut them some slack. I say that, you see, that I said I'm going to draw a little bit of a difference between what I am advocating and what I am about to say. And that's exactly what I wanted to say. In the case of Emefiele, he was and still is a flight risk. Now, it is assumed that someone who might have stashed a lot of funds outside Nigeria has nothing to lose once it leaves this country, with or without travel documents. We all know that it's only people who don't have enough connections that will be going through airports and borders. When someone has plenty money, he can disappear. He can disappear and look for a country that has no extradition pact with Nigeria, that doesn't have any bilateral relations. There are countries like that exist. And the man will just be cruising and enjoying the alleged stolen funds. Stolen funds.
Okay.
But this is disappointing for me because I am being sentimental by going with some of the things that we've read and heard, and I believe that the man is culpable. My opinion, and extremely sentimental and biased, yes. But I must bow to the courts. When the courts speak, we must listen, even if we do not like the judgment. This is where you draw the line and say, okay, well, the courts have spoken. So I hope that Nigerian law enforcement will be up to the task. Now, the good part of this is that the lawyers might be risking their own freedom if they are the ones that are meant to produce him in court when his case is due.
Yeah.
They might be risking their own freedom because, in the sense of it, some people have stood as guarantors for certain people.
And they are not going to be called jail that you did not do anything about. Oh, Jesus.
You know, so, well, the pay must be good enough, or the friendship or relationship must be good enough for you to want to stand shorty for a man whom you know is a big-time flight risk. And, you know, and I cast my mind back again to what Nigerians went through, starting around this time last year, all the way to a few months ago, before some semblance of normalcy. There are actually some ATM points that have not worked.
Some?
Till now.
A lot.
Till now. We're still buying Nigerian currency. Like, you go to the market and you want to buy stuff, you can't because
we've still not recovered.
The seller does not have a POS point and does not accept transfers.
We have still not
so
recovered.
You have to step out to a POS person to buy Naira, because the POS person is going to say they are collecting charges.
They're going to charge you.
They say charges. Usually they are quick to type 200, 300, 500 Naira, depending on how much you're collecting. So you're more or less buying Naira. That's what it is. In
the real sense of it.
In the real sense of things, you're buying Naira. So these are the issues, and this man was solely responsible for this, because there is a way you can change currency without making it difficult for people.
The funny thing is that maybe if it had never been done before, it has been done before in Nigeria. At least I remember when
the 100 Naira was being swapped.
It was literally very seamless. It was a very seamless thing.
Were actually done like this, but it was not as draconian as this. They would give you a timeline to quickly come and change money, and people.
But it was seamless because it was what you got that they released back to the system.
But with him, he mopped up trillions of Naira and released only a few billions in return, which of course caused a lot of inflation and caused a lot of strife. And I'm not sure we have recovered from it.
Not sure. I do not think that we're recovering from it anytime soon.
So, well.
Anyway,
the judges have spoken.
We definitely will see whatever happens with that, if there's going to be another arrest, or if he's finally going to go home after 151 days. Now, still talking about the EFCC. The EFCC have now arraigned 11 undergraduates from the Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU, for alleged internet fraud. Remember that this drama started when they had first picked up 69 students, and then they had released the bulk of them, and now there is 11 of them that are now 9 of the defendants were arraigned on a 1-count charge each, while the 2 remaining had 6 counts filed against each of them.
All right. As it stands, we had also said that for them to have released a certain number of students and held on to 11, that means that they must have found something on those 11. And there was a lot of hue and cry, and there was even a protest by students of the University of Ife the Obafemi Awolowo University. That's the proper name. I don't know why some of us are still stuck with University of Ife. So Obafemi Awolowo University, and the students actually came out. Even the next day, their vice chancellor was like quick to advise them to move on and told them how.
So I'm guessing he already seemed to have maybe he had been briefed.
Maybe that they should move on and all of that. And I'm glad that those students are free, because the word out there is that these were proper students. Now, we don't know about this 11, if they're masquerading as students or if they're students who are actually into fraudulent activities.
Allegedly. But the truth is that what this also tells me is that these 59 or 69 people that were arrested, the truth of the matter is that as much as we don't know everything that everybody does, especially school areas, school and all, even when you get older, I think we need to watch the kind of people that we move with. The smaller your, what's the word now? The smaller your circle, the better for you. People that you cannot pinpoint exactly what they do or how they make their money, it's better to just, people, the sad part is that whether we like it or not, it's the truth. People have literally gone to jail because they got associated with this person and that person. I've heard of stories of how somebody used somebody's bank account. You don't know what the person wants to use your bank account for, but he used your bank account to receive money. And of course, by the time investigation comes and there's paper trail, nobody knows what happened. Is the paper trail. And you're just a victim of circumstance. But really and truly, we need to be very vigilant. We need to be very careful of the kind of company that people keep. It's really young people these days. You cannot exactly, in fact, they even tell you that at times you can't trust yourself. Talk less of trusting other people. It's thing when I saw it's a story of I think someone it was last week where it was a video that I actually saw of a lady that I think went to one of these microfinance banks where she was really going off how she lost about 500,000 naira in her account, which was not hers. And the story is that someone she didn't know randomly where she was in a store had asked that his phone had died, that she please borrow, that he wanted to make a quick phone call. Mm-hmm. And in between that, the man had pressed something and cloned her phone in a space of like a minute or two.
Yep.
And, it got me a little scared because I remember there was a particular evening. This literally happened to me a few months ago. There was a particular evening I was taking a walk and someone literally stopped me and said that his phone had died, that he was trying to locate his friend's house on the street and that I should please. And the first thing that it was first, I think I heard wrongly. I said airtime. I'm like, okay, I will send you airtime. It's not. Said I know that his phone had died. Blah blah blah. Long story short, I gave this person the phone, and the person made the phone call. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But my mind just went back to this woman's issue, and I'm like, same thing happened to me, and it could have had the same outcome.
But did you cancel call forwarding on your phone?
I'm not sure I do any call.
Ash 002 Ash, do that on your phone. It cancels anything forwarding on your phone. It will show if your calls are being forwarded or or your calls are going somewhere else. It's something that everybody should try on their mobile phones. It's Ash 002 Ash, and send, because again there's a whole lot of stuff like that happening, and we all need to be careful. So being a good Samaritan at times can get you into trouble. Yeah. Just being so. Again, this is a quick lesson for you.
We need to be all very careful.
If you really want to call someone, call the person's number. Since you know the number by heart, anyway, call it. I'll dial the number on my phone and put it on speaker. Then you speak to the person and all, because all they need is less than 10 seconds to input what they want to input on their phones, and trust me, kaboom, your line has been cloned, or your account balance pops up, and they know how to check. They know all the codes to check all the bank account
they're good
balance.
Though. They are very, very good. If it's that one.
So be careful out there, folks.
Yeah, and so basically, talking about us being careful. Now, moving on from that quickly, and Imo State, or more like elections. So, for people that do not know, there is governorship elections happening on Saturday in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi states. Now, why it's called Imo State was that there is a lot of issues that is happening in Imo State. I think this is really not the time for all this drama. Personally, I think that it is over-bloated drama, really. I think that the Labour have a thing for the governor. Also, a part of me looks like, it seems like, because the Labour unions are directly affiliated to the Labour Party, they're trying to cause a lot of unrest. It seems very politically motivated at this point. It's not making any sense anymore. Now, what happened? So there was some issues that happened that the NLC chairman got assaulted last week. Now, there's been talks of how the commissioner of police knows about it. The IG has redeployed this person. They said the governor knows about it. The governor said he does not know about it.
Should he be redeployed, sir?
They are asking for the governor's aides to be arrested, that they know about it. You have to bring evidence. I feel that if you have evidence for those things, you don't even need to even ask for the permission or give an ultimatum. Give your evidence to the police. At this point, it's obvious that the police are ready to they're ready to cooperate with you. For them to move a whole commissioner of police, they're ready. And all of a sudden, we hear yesterday that said they're going on nationwide strike because
of what happened in
Imo State. Now, as of today, they've grounded all flights going into Imo State.
A few days to the governorship elections.
There's an election happening on Saturday, 2 days. I'm sorry, what are you trying to achieve? It's not making any sense anymore.
It all sounds politically motivated, like Dolupo pointed out earlier. And for me, for as long as this crop of labor union leaders are at the helms of affairs, for as long as they are in charge of Nigerian labor movements, I do not see a distinction between them and the Labour Party. And, I joke about it here, but I mean what I'm saying. And Mr. Ajero, when he was assaulted, I believe it was wrong. Nobody should have touched him in any way. You have no right to lay your hands on anybody. But the next day, the pictures we saw were exaggerated. I'm serious. Like, if he really needed a cast, he would not have been able to make the videos that were made and the way he was in that particular video. If he really needed a cast. Do you get?
Yeah, I get you.
And the next day you see the cast, and they even said they want to fly him abroad for treatment and all of that. I said to myself, look, the Nigerian labor unions have been spoiling for a fight. What they wanted to do is more or less, they just want to ground the country.
They always wanted to go on this strike. Now they were always looking for something to hinge the strike on. It doesn't. How do you ground the whole country just because? Okay, yes, is it right that he got assaulted? No, but does it make any sense to literally ground the economy of the country because one person got assaulted? Charge these people to court.
Have they even sued the so-called assailants?
That's what I'm saying. Sue them.
Do they even know the people who has attacked the man, so-called? It might even be a stage thing at this rate because the way everything is going, the union,
like, what happened?
the union members
it's not
in Imo State actually said there were no issues, and there was a court order that also prevented you from doing what you did, but you went ahead to do it in the first place. So these are the issues. For me, for this country to move forward, we know that a lot of sacrifices have to be made, and we've made them. But when you decide to throw, your spanner, to mess up everything that's been done.
I think that in the next couple of days I want to see the drama that is happening. To me, I don't think this nationwide strike is going to happen. I think that maybe, I know that the federal government had withdrawn their case against the labor unions. I think that the labor unions at this point are pushing it.
They don't care.
They're pushing it too far.
Don't care.
It's not making any sense anymore.
Once again, violence against Mr. Ajero is completely condemned. Nobody should have been treated in that kind of way. But shutting down the country because someone was allegedly, attacked by God knows who now.
Shutting down the economy of a whole state that is happening, that has governorship election in 2 days. I'm sorry, this looks like it's very politically motivated.
And the thing again,
Sue me. I'm saying what
the Nigerian workforce, the bulk of the people in Nigeria do not belong to these unions.
Belong to this union. So what are we talking? Are you saying that markets will not open?
It is looking like a cartel/cult kind of arrangement.
That's why I said that the way they're going. Remember the drama of ASU? They are pushing it.
Maybe that's why they started TUC, and TUC too is in bed with NLC anyway.
We'll all be here. We definitely will all be here.
We'll be bringing out all this on this, but if anybody knows how to reach out to these labor union leaders, let them speak to them and make them understand that this is not the way to go.
We are pushing it. You definitely are pushing it.
It's not the way to go.
Anyway, moving on from that, I'll move on to something very interesting. It's a very interesting story. I've been meaning to, talk about this all day. And I remember and I know that this is probably the second or third time we're talking about the Minister of Women Affairs. Very interesting woman, a barrister, Uju, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Uju Kennedy Hoanenge.
Yeah.
Now, there were pictures of where she had posted. By the way, she posted pictures today of giving kekes, that's the tuk-tuks, and to women, how to empower women, I think, and sewing machines or something. And it's someone's tweet. Someone's reply that this is what local government chairmen do. Why are you? And I'm like,
no, we should not condemn everything that people do.
I don't think it's that bad.
We should not. You see,
someone also said, "Oh, they have deliverables, so she has to do what she has to do."
Yeah, we shouldn't condemn everybody. I think
people are pushing it too far. But the one that is very interesting is where she had posted last week. She's actually very, very vocal on social media. She posts a lot of things on Twitter, and she had posted where she had ended some decades long conflict between three communities, three different tribes in the community. Yeah,
in Kaduna State.
In Kaduna State, which seemed like a very laudable, interesting thing to say.
I even used it to counter Dolupo last week when she was saying so, and I said, "No, look at what she's done here." And she said, "What?" I said, "She's done this, and that. Promised to give them land and seeds for farming."
Promise to give them land, but before we go on, keep in mind that land is meant for is meant for the states, not for the federal. Now, I don't want to preempt anything before they say that Dolupo is very biased. I just want to quickly read a press statement originating from the government house of Kaduna State. Might I?
Allegedly originating from the government of Kaduna.
Signed by Mohammed Lawal Sherihu, Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, 6th of November 2023. Can I go ahead?
I don't know.
I will, whether you like it or not.
Go.
KDSG, that's the Kaduna State Government, cautions the public against misleading media reports involving the Minister of Women Affairs on alleged crisis in Gagako local government. The attention of the Kaduna State Government has been drawn to erroneous and misleading media reports claiming a breakthrough by barrister Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, the Minister of Women Affairs, in brokering peace among three alleged warring factions in Koro, Hausa, and Fulani in Kagako local government area to end a 20-year-old crisis. The Kaduna State Government urges the people of Kaduna State and Nigerians to disregard the erroneous and dangerous rhetoric unfortunately reported by some media stations without verifying the facts. These reports are capable of creating confusion and igniting crises in the local government area. For avoidance of doubt, it should be noted that by the public that there is no crisis in Kagako local government area. In fact, Kagako local government area has enjoyed peace and harmony over the years and remains one of the most peaceful local government areas in the state. Additionally, the state government has received credible reports indicating of ill-conceived plot. The ill-conceived plot was the handiwork of members of a leading opposition party with the aim to fraudulently extort the federal government. They approached the Minister of Women Affairs and created a false impression of disharmony and crisis in Kagako local government. The minister, without verifying the bogus claims and in the absence of officials from Kagako local government area and the Kaduna state government, made official pronouncements and went to the ridiculous extent of promising parcels of land and even seedlings to the conspirators. The Kaduna state government is disappointed and shocked by the ill-advised actions of the Minister of Women Affairs, who, with her experience as a public servant and knowledge as an attorney at law, should have applied caution and professionalism by contacting the Kaduna state government to get the accurate information on the situation in these communities. Let me stop the argument.
Well, the whole story here is that a minister of the federal government has gone to a state in the northern part of Nigeria and claims to have settled an age-long dispute between three warring tribes, in a particular, you heard us say Kagaku and all of that community. Now, that's a laudable thing to do if it happened like that. But the problem now is the state government is disputing it. So you start to wonder, like, first things first, why would the federal minister go into a state without notifying
the state government?
Why would you go into a state without working with the state government or the local government or the local government? Why would you offer them land? And
That is not yours.
Where is the land going to come from?
That is not yours.
Why is the Minister of Women's Affairs concerned about boundary disputes and community clashes? Except they tell you that it was women that were warring. We know that they say women and children are impacted mostly by war and dispute. We get that. But in this particular situation, I'm not sure it was something for our ministry to handle. And it all smacks of some kind of conspiracy. Maybe they are setting her up. Maybe they're like the governor or the statement of Kaduna State has said that there's some kind of extortion.
But I just feel that to avoid any form of conversation, I think that on a normal day, the easiest thing to have done was to provide go to the state. You're entering the state. All you needed to do is just even a courtesy visit to the governor. Yeah. And I think that alone probably will have cleared a lot of things.
One of the few states in Nigeria that has a woman as a deputy governor.
Yeah.
You are Minister of Women Affairs. Wouldn't that have been a nice thing? Even if it was for optics, to have worked with her on this one. So I think it's time for a lot of these people to really sit back, relax, and think about their actions before they take them. And I hope that she has not gotten herself into some kind of pickle, because how's she going to get out of this? I don't know.
I don't know. I think that anyway, that a part of me, I don't know if I'm going to, it looks like, we had talked about, it was the last week, how the few ministers that seem to be, they're like a lot on their toes and they're doing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And they're putting out a lot of things. It looks like maybe those things can be a bit intimidating. Yes.
And she's under pressure to deliver.
Maybe.
Well, let's see. Because if they all deliver, it's going to be for the the Nigerian English betterment. Because I think it's the Nigerians that use that word betterment, for the betterment of all. Abi?
I don't know.
I've never heard anybody else use it except Nigerians betterment.
Any which way, I'm talking about ministries. Now, the Ministry of Interior has now announced that they have launched e-passport offices in 5 European countries. So this part of it. It's part of it. It's part of.
What are the 5 European countries, please?
So what I'm saying is not what's it called.
Yeah, let's move on. There's so much to talk about.
Anyway, the 5 European countries as we speak are Italy, Spain, Greece, Austria, and Switzerland. This was announced by the Minister of Interior, said the new passport processing centers are part of the efforts to streamline passport processing and acquisition for Nigerians in the diaspora.
Okay. This is a welcome development. I have experienced it. I was privileged to be out of this country a couple of years ago, and we were trying to get a passport for someone close to us, and it was hellish. It was actually very difficult. Like, it was very, very difficult. It was actually easier for that person to get an American passport than it was for the person to get a Nigerian passport.
It's interesting. It's interesting how it's now been said that this e-passport complies with all standards set by the International Civil Aviation Organization, and Nigeria is the first country in Africa and the 5th worldwide to embrace this technological achievement.
Sounds good to me. There was a time when I have a friend who lives abroad, and he was talking about how it's so bad that some allegedly people who work in the Nigerian embassy even extort Nigerians, financially and otherwise, for people to get passports. It's that bad. Like, I'm not going to go into details and all of that. But if I have to, the video is on the guy's Instagram. I'm sure he hasn't deleted it. I can go pull it down. But these are, pull it up actually. These are the things that we are happy about, because when there's good stuff to talk about, let's talk about it. And when there's bad stuff to point out, let's point it out and talk about it.
Okay.
And congratulations to us as a country, for being the 5th in the world to activate this new level of passport system. But again, kudos to the Minister of the Interior for achieving this.
This quickly. Also, quickly, just want to put out there, the president has now signed the 2.17 trillion naira 2023 supplementary budget into law. Also, the owners of the burnt vessel, remember the burnt vessel that
one of the several burnt vessels.
Yes, Sola Maritime Limited have now sued the Nigerian Navy and the Chief of Naval Staff.
Good.
And the commander of the Nigerian Navy ship had fined to court what they referred to as recklessness and bad faith showed by the force.
So, are they saying that they were not carrying stolen crude?
I don't know.
And let's let them meet in court and sort it out. This is how things should be done. Actually, if you have evidence that something is wrong, use the courts. So that's a welcome development. We'll keep tabs on this particular case and find out how it pans out.
How it definitely pans out. All right.
Let me just say that I don't expect the case to go anywhere, but
we'll
keep that. We'll keep
you didn't
tabs
have
on
to
it.
say that. You really did not have to say that.
Okay, I take it back.
Anyway, let's still go back to a bit of INEC. There are a bit of stories coming from these elections that are coming up very soon. INEC has announced that they've cancelled elections in 38 polling units in Imo State due to the fact that they do not have registered voters in those polling units.
So it's already out there.
Yeah, I think that this information needs to be put out.
Nobody needs to come and say they were disenfranchised because you did not register. That's it. So that's clear. But again, that's just for people to know. But something bigger is even part of our headline. Something bigger happened in Imo State during the INEC stakeholders meeting. That
the Labour Party and PDP deputy governorship candidates actually walked out of the stakeholders meeting. They talked about how the resident commissioner or something had asked I think they had asked the media to leave when the meeting started, and these people did not agree and they left.
All right.
Now, I think there's a lot of drama happening in Imo State. Like, you are not the only ones that have elections now. Why is there so much drama?
Oh, it's actually more peaceful. In Kogi State, there's violence. There's violence there, but that's not what we're talking about today. In Imo, it sounds similar to what happened when, I think it was at the national level, it was Dino Melaye, who was representing His Excellency Abubakar Atiku. And another person, I think the person was representing Peter Obi of the Labour Party. They both staked the walkout at one of those events in Abuja. And I said to myself, wow, best of a feather, like, PDP and Labour should just merge already. Like, come together, merge. And it will make you arguably the strongest party in Nigeria. Because I'm not sure the APC will be able to pull off something, except things have changed overnight. Except, You know, so again, it's the same Labour and PDP staging a walkout. I feel, sorry, because I've been observing the Imo election from a distance and also been in touch with people on ground. I see people already making excuses for what is likely to be the result. In Imo State, it looks like Opus Odima has some kind of upper hand, you know, and this might be the reason why all this drama is coming up, you know. In Bayelsa, I still see the PDP as the leading party there. Also, with the fact that Timmy Praisiva just started campaigning fully yesterday. Campaigned into the night. It was going from...
according to stories today, the vice president is actually in Bayelsa.
Yeah. So they're trying to make... Because I think they have only tomorrow for their last...
I think it's today is Wednesday. Okay,
tomorrow.
Yeah,
they have only tomorrow to campaign and all of that. But I think it's looking like a PDP victory. But it's politics, and
it is politics.
Anything can happen.
Not even after the last elections, anything.
And in Kogi State, it's just all violence here and there. I saw an amateur video of, you know, a military vehicle, some kind of police APC in someone's private compound. I like, okay, why is this happening? But the mainstream media, they ain't talking about it. I'm wondering why.
No, just
I'm wondering why.
We're not even going to go there. We're definitely not going to go there. It's not our way. Anyway, also, INEC has said that 137,973 party agents are to participate in these elections on Saturday.
Finally, parties are understanding the importance of having agents at every polling unit. We said this a lot of times last year, and because people maybe people just felt it was talk. But it's important for you to have agents at every polling unit, and that's your first line of defense when anything happens.
It is. They're saying that there are 34,704 agents in Bayelsa State, 65,274 for Imo State, and 37,995 for Kogi State.
All right.
Now, moving on from that, also I know that there was talks of there was a report that came out that out of about 51 candidates that are going into these elections in 3 states, there are only 3 women that are candidates in the state. And I know I get it that we're always pushing this agenda. A part of me feels it's an agenda, really, because the truth of the matter is that whether we like it or not, you still have to come out to contest.
We are talking about the 3 governorship elections in 3 different states in Nigeria. Interestingly spread across the south, southeast, and north central. However, in the north, we've not had a lot of women go into politics. The stats are there, but that doesn't mean that the ones who have done are not doing well. In the same Kogi State recently, Natasha Akpoti has joined the Senate, in an election that she's deemed to have won. In the south, and southeast, it's not supposed to be that difficult too, because women have not really had those kind of limitations.
Yeah,
but if you check, they don't get it.
Sadly,
they don't.
The same north that everybody seems to talk
where
about,
you think that they are held back,
they actually seem to have more than everybody else.
They have governorship candidates. Yes. They have deputy governor in Kaduna. They have a senator in Abuja. There's a senator now in Kogi State. And if you come to the south, that is liberal and women can contest. You can count this top women politicians on your fingers. It should not be. Now, yeah, women should come out, but men have put too many barriers in their fronts. Men have blocked them in many ways. I'm happy that at the last election, most of the states actually waived the fees for them. But again, we need to start empowering women on all levels, because ideas that men have, might be tunnel vision depending on the way they look at things. But women too might just have another perspective and another way of looking at things. Like, we need to be able to get to a point where politically we're on the same even keel. Like, everybody is on the same page. It should be, but I know that it's utopian to think that that's going to happen today or immediately, after these elections. But it's something that we must put on the front burner and stop keeping women back.
Okay, talking about that, let's move on to Lagos State University, where they have now removed the Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Tajuddin Olumoko, is saying that his removal is in connection with a news report that was published on Monday. And they're talking about some university certificate fraud.
Yeah.
That anybody that was interested in getting a genuine LASU certificate could purchase from between 2 million and 3 million, depending on the technicality of the course involved.
And they would have the transcripts and all of those things. Interesting, but again, thank God for media reports and the news and social media and people reporting such incidents. It's funny how one person has so much power to be able to pull off these kind of things. That means your system is very porous, and hopefully this school and other schools will learn how to build institutions that would not allow such things to happen.
Okay, quickly before we go, the United Kingdom has now banned the recreational use of nitrous oxide. That's what we call laughing gas. I know that we had talked about this before, and I know that I think the NDLE has also talked about. I'm not sure it's banned, but I know that they were talking about the ills because it's literally had become a recreational thing in the past couple of months, and the UK is saying that it's such an epidemic right now that it had to get banned. Now, it's now a law that anybody that is even dealing in it, not even using, that you are selling and buying it, could be looking to as much as 14 years in prison.
I'm glad that they're going to do something like this. It is scary how much drugs, and it's not just drugs. Now, before, drugs were, I'm not saying that you should use them, but they were just basically marijuana and this and this and that. Now, chemicals and all sorts of things are being
it's all sorts
concocted.
Of things, yeah.
Gases are being inhaled. There was a little boy a video was made of a little boy somewhere I think it was in Ondo State or somewhere, that it was inhaling fumes from petrol. He's barely 13 years old, and he's already,
all sorts of things that people ingest.
It's almost as if, we as a people have pushed the self-destruct button. You want to get high, and it's even damaging things. Like, come on, people. What kind of high are you looking for?
Yeah. It's very, very, very interesting, though. Anyway, finally, before we go, the People magazine has named Patrick Dempsey sexiest man alive for 2023.
Okay.
He's an actor in Grey's Anatomy, and now that I had to actually Google him because really and truly.
Oh, you don't remember him?
I didn't remember him, or I didn't put a face to the name. I had to Google him, and then I remember okay, him, and I'm like, my question is that what are the parameters that
a younger Dempsey, maybe, I don't know, I don't even know at all, but. Really? At the current age that he's in and the way he looks now, I don't know, man. But you see, we live in a world where it is okay now for people to say certain things or say how they feel or, say that they are this and they are what they say they are. There was a guy, I saw a video of a guy who says he's a frog, and, he was in a pond and he held a frog and he was... rabbiting with the frog. Like, ribbit. Okay, whatever you're saying. Congratulations on your new frogship. What I'm saying is that everything is so skewed now that, I don't know. One day they would even just pick a woman and say, well, this is the sexiest man alive, and what are we going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. That's the world we live in today.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's
just
the
what I
world we live
out
in.
there. Like, really, what you
But
people?
Mr.
What's
Dempsey,
your post definition of sexy? I don't
Yeah.
understand. Anyway, on that note, that is all we have to take today on the bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you very, very much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of the bar.
happy birthday, Ayomedubi.
Oh, happy birthday, sir. And we'll be back again. Peace.